Welcome to the Rainmaker Multiplier on Demand, a podcast for leading financial professionals, or rainmakers, and their teams that offer support for securing a successful future. From marketing help to staffing structure, listen and subscribe for actionable insights from advisors and skilled professionals alike.
Thanks everyone for joining. I'm Cary Chaitoff, VP of Marketing. I head up the agency efforts at C2P. Work with many advisors on their individual marketing efforts. Today, I'm really pleased to be joined by one of our good partners of Snappy Kraken. Snappy Kraken is an excellent firm, does a lot of the websites and marketing. But in particular, they came out with a recent study. So Robert Sofia, who's the founder and CEO of Snappy Kraken, is again award-winning marketing and growth platform for financial advisors. Some of you use them. Some of you certainly have heard. We've done past sessions with Snappy Kraken, so I'm pleased that they've come back. Robert's helped thousands of advisors kind of modernize their growth strategies. One thing that really led to this discussion was a recent study that came out by Kitchus. And Kitchus did an advisor tech study. Snappy Kraken earned the top score for both webinar, website, and digital marketing solutions, which says a lot about kind of the innovation and differentiation that they bring to this space, which at times can be a little bit stagnant. But I will tell you, Snappy Kraken is a lot of new innovation. So welcome, Robert. So just a couple just for those that are not familiar with Snappy Kraken, again, not intended to be a commercial, but kind of what is Snappy Kraken? And then we're going to kind of talk about, the tech stack and what does tech stack mean. But before, let's establish some credibility on yourself and Snappy Kraken so the audience knows who you are.
Yeah, sure. So, I've been in this industry for 20 years. I started out as an advisor in a firm. We scaled that firm from about 120 million up to about 650 million in a few short years. Then I started a consulting company back in 2009, where I worked with advisors and sold that company to FMG in 2016 and started Snappy Kraken. So next year will be 10 years. We serve about 7,000 advisors who are part of around 4,000 firms. Wow. And growing.
Great. Now, the Snappy Kraken certainly, or at least I heard the story that Snappy Kraken kind of has, it's kind of a little bit snappy. It's kind of out of the box. It's kind of breakthrough. We've talked previously about the importance of lead generation. And today we're actually not going to focus on lead generation, even though everyone says that's the hot topic. To me, I think the lead generation is actually the easy part. And what I mean by that is generating leads through a meta campaign or direct mail. It's fairly easy, and all you have to do is go on Facebook and you see how many advisors are doing almost the same thing. Now, the challenge that I've seen with advisors is once they get that lead, what do they do with it, right? And in some cases, advisors say, I don't have the capacity. So talk a little bit about how do you convert a lead? And a lead, I'm going to define for simplicity's sake, is somebody that raised their hand and volunteered some type of information and said, I have some interest in your thought leadership or your webinar or some content that you offered in some manner. So talk about some, do you agree that, leads may not be the hardest part? It's more of the conversion. And what's your perspective on how do you go down to that rabbit hole?
Yeah, I'm going to definitely answer your question directly, but I just want to step back up for one moment and acknowledge that in this industry, we've been very spoiled generally by the leads that we're accustomed to getting. Referrals, very warm leads, in-person leads, and they are very high qualified. They're very high intent. They convert very easily. Maybe they come right in for a meeting and then you have a very high close ratio. And that's what advisors are accustomed to. That's what it's been like in this industry for so long. But referrals only get you so far. It's hard to scale that. It's hard to have a consistent growth trajectory. And so a lot of firms are looking to invest in lead generation. And the comment that it's easy, some people would find that comment to be, maybe an oversimplification, but it's not hard if you have budget. It's a lot harder if you have no budget, but you can buy leads all day long. You can go to Smart Asset, Wiser Advisor, Zoe, Dave Ramsey. You can buy leads and you can advertise like you mentioned on Facebook. Right. But what happens a lot of times is the firms that try that, they fail. And then they say, oh, well, digital leads aren't good, or Smart Asset leads aren't good, or Wiser Advisor leads aren't good, or whatever. But then at the same time, you see firms scaling billions of dollars in new AUM from digital leads, and you say, what's the difference? The difference is not the lead. The difference is what's done with the lead, and understanding that there is no trust in the beginning. There is no warm relationship there. And 68% of the leads, that's data backed from Catchlight, who enriches leads from all different firms around the country. 68% of leads are being worked by multiple advisors. So you're in a competitive situation. And what we have found in our own research is that the conversion rate on those leads goes up dramatically, about 71%, in fact, if they are contacted in less than 5 minutes, and if something is done to boost credibility, and if there's long-term nurturing. And so if you just reach out once and you don't get a response, or you don't reach out soon enough, they're already on somebody else's calendar, and then when you reach back out, they're ghosting you because they already booked with somebody else who got to them first, and they don't want to deal with two advisors at the same time. And then things start falling through the cracks, and it just becomes a waste of money. And so that's where firms often fail, and then they think it was the leads, but in actuality, it was the process that was the problem.
Great insight, and I probably did simplify the easy part of leads, because those we work with generally have some budget, and we're going out and securing quality leads, and again the challenges. So in this day and age, certainly advisors across the board are extremely busy, right? And so they may not have the staff to drop everything when a lead comes through. And again, we focus more on, for today's discussion, we'll talk about leads coming through Meta versus a competitive aggregator and things like that. But when a lead comes down, they download, or even if they say, I'm interested in viewing this recording, and they do. Talk a little bit about how advisors, what as the topic is tech stack. So talk a little bit how a lead goes really from your inbox to now all of a sudden your prospect's inbox or a phone call, and some of the best practices there.
Yeah, this is where automation and AI work together in such powerful ways now that have just completely changed what's possible. Because even a few short years ago, leads would come in from different places, and they would have to be manually entered into a CRM and manually entered into a marketing automation platform. Advisors were doing things like downloading spreadsheets and uploading them into a separate tool. The systems weren't all talking to each other. And so the combination of AI and automation really solves this. Even the point where once you have the lead, what do you do? Like, which campaign do you send to them? When do you send them an email? When do you send them a text message? When do you call them? How do you know if they're qualified? Like, all of that just becomes automatic now with automation and AI. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. So you can take unstructured data from any source. We do this automatically. We actually have a feature. It's called AI lead capture. And anything that has an email associated with it, with a name, a phone number, an email address, a text message, could be a website form, a third-party lead, a registration for an event, anything. The AI will automatically read an email. It will take the unstructured data that's in that email and create a contact record. Then it will ping a third-party data enrichment provider and enrich that lead with asset level, home value, job, income, likely investable assets. Now, all of a sudden, you can see if they're qualified. Then based on that data, now we know how old they are, we know where they live, we know how much money they have, right? Now we can actually automatically, this is AI again, dynamically look at that data and then put them into a segmentation. So they're going into groups that are relevant. So automatically, the high net worth retirees that are qualified are going here. The ones who don't have any money that aren't qualified are going here. Maybe the ones that aren't qualified, you want to qualify them before you book a meeting, but the ones who are, you want to get them on the calendar. So it's a different path. Or the ones who are, high earners, not rich yet, they're going into a different path, because nobody wants to hear outreach content information that's not relevant for them. Most marketing automation platforms out there, they just send the same thing to everybody. You got to go blast a bunch of marketing. But now dynamically AI is going to sort and filter them, put them into different groups, and then send them down nurture paths and engagement paths that are relevant for them. Now, that relevance drives faster conversion rates. It drives faster engagement. It builds trust more quickly. And all of that is happening dynamically with automation and AI without you have to even think about it. And in under 3 minutes, they're getting ingested, qualified, segmented, and subscribed to a nurture sequence. That's no manual effort while you sleep 24/7. That's what AI and automation and a true marketing technology will do for you today. It's not just about posting crap on social media that nobody reads or clicks on. It's about really engaging people, meeting them where they are, and then working to convert them by building trust quickly.
And so for those that not working with Snappy Kraken, and there are a few, talk a little bit about the AI integration. So a lead comes, and how would somebody kind of manually process? So a lead is received. What you just described is awesome. Are there platforms out there aside from Snappy Kraken? Again, we're kind of trying to make this broad, where you get this lead, and so maybe talk about kind of the workflow of getting a lead and how all of that works. That someone may be able to take an action or two, whether they're working with Snappy Kraken or not today. But hey, when I get a lead, this is the first thing you would recommend somebody to kind of ingest. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Look, there's tools out there you can do this with. I mean, you have to cobble together different tools. There are marketing automation platforms like Salesforce Marketing Cloud is a great example. But we also see firms spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars on implementation of those tools. So just be aware, if you're going to build something like this, you have to have technologists and marketers, because you got to create the content, you got to program the campaigns, you got to integrate the solutions. So, to be fair, you can build this with anything. So we do it out of the box, and we do it with compliance. So we feel it's better for advisors, but there are other ways to do this.
Perfect. And that's really, Robert, what I was looking for is people, sometimes they sit in meetings and go, oh, AI can do that, and I'm just going to plug this email in, and it does. So in this case, AI is a tactic, a tool to help achieve that. But it's not as easy as sometimes when you say, what, in other discussions we've had, go to AI and type in, one big beautiful bill and the SALT Act, and they'll give you most of the time pretty good information. This one is really an enabler versus kind of the end. Hey, we're going to load all of these into AI, and why didn't it do what Robert and Cary spoke about? So yes, AI is critical, but you kind of have to know how to use it in this particular case.
And it's such an important point, Cary, and I'm glad you said it, because sometimes I actually just tend to overgeneralize. And I just to build on that, it's a really core understanding of AI that I think a lot of our industry, if they're not deeply embedded, doesn't fully grasp. And so it's that there are layers. And if you think of it like a spectrum, right? Let's say the bottom left quadrant of this chart, right? We'll say like this, right? The bottom left quadrant is, we'll say it's low impact and high accessibility, right? And then you get up and it's like to the far top right, and it's high impact, low accessibility. And so what happens is, like, down in the bottom left quadrant, you've got LLMs, right? You go to ChatGPT and you've got, low impact, high accessibility. You can create content, but like it's not really integrating your systems. And then you go up and then you've got like embedded AI inside of tools that you use. And like, you don't even know it's there, but it's working behind the scenes, and it has some impact, but it's pretty accessible, because think about every wealth tech platform that you're using embeds some AI. And then you've got the, AI co-pilots, where they're programmed and they're walking you through a sequence, and they take more effort to set up, and they'll guide you through a process. And then you have agents. Right. And agents, top right, like now agents are doing things automatically without you having to think about it or run it at all, but they're more rare. They take a lot more engineering and development resources to set up, and not everybody's benefiting from them. So the modern growth stack, when we talk about it, just to be clear, it's using AI across that entire spectrum, from the things you don't even see to the things that are working for you when you don't sleep, and the things that you might actually engage with to go create a piece of content like about the big beautiful bill. So AI is a broad term. And then you've got experimental AI we're not even talking about today. So yeah, to be clear, we're talking about specific marketing automation related functions that are powered by various layers of AI inside of your tech stack, from your CRM or data lake into your marketing automation and into your data strategy reporting and how you act on that data.
That's great. Thank you for elaborating. I just want to kind of clarify, when someone says AI, they think, oh, I can do that. And it's a component, it's powered by, but you still have to understand the technology and experience that goes into it. Earlier, you talked about, when you get a lead, not to treat all of those leads equally. And so in some cases, those you may identify those individuals have significant assets. They may be within your sweet spot of age or lifestyle, and some are not. And we often find everyone gets the same either follow-up or same nurture. So talk a little bit, Robert, about the importance of segmenting and personalization, especially as we relate to AI. Everyone's kind of expecting that personalization to come through. So if you can touch a little bit about your view of why one email doesn't fit all.
Well, I'll give you a personal example. I was actually shopping for a new advisor recently because my situation has become more complex over the years.
I think we have some that we might be able to refer you to. But
thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Myself up, didn't I? Well, the point is that I started shopping and it's interesting to be on the consumer side all of a sudden. And I'm looking, right? And I'm going to websites and I'm scanning for things that are related to tax planning and estate planning for high net worth investors and how you deal with, equity compensation. And there's some nuance and it's fairly advanced. And very quickly, I'm disqualifying firms that are based on their website. Easy. Then I find a few that are relevant for me, and then I opt in. And then some don't respond. Some respond with their generic newsletter on a drip. And all of a sudden, they're talking to me about Social Security. And I'm 44. And I immediately disqualify them. I am not responding to those firms. The point is that everybody says, send the right message to the right person at the right time. Like every marketing company says it. And what they basically mean is just spam the heck out of everybody and eventually it'll hit right. But what they're doing is they're just alienating people. And if you are a 64-year-old person about to retire, the things on your mind are very different from the things on my mind. I have a 7-year-old, right? So what happens when you start sending a retiree stuff on college planning in your newsletter, or you start sending me stuff on Social Security? Like we immediately get ourselves out of the game. That happens all the time. It's like, hey, well, I called them. They didn't call me back. Put them on the newsletter list. Peace out. But the right way is to start showing people that you have competence in their area of expertise. The only way to do that is to, number one, figure out who they are. You got to build a persona. That's why we leaned in so hard to data enrichment. And then once the data is enriched and you have a persona, then you only send content that is likely to be relevant for that persona. That's personalization. And then beyond that, that's where it starts. But what we're doing today and what AI is powering, because we couldn't do this before, is that every click, every open, every view that a person does. So if they click on a landing page, if they open an email, what you start to actually get is data on what interests them and what time they open and what channel they engage on. So what if you have somebody who basically only responds to email at a certain time of day or never opens their emails but responds to text messages? What's happening behind the scenes now is a profiles being built, and then at the right time, truly based on lead scoring, when their intent is high and they are qualified, then a message is triggered or a task is created for the advisor to reach out. It says, now's the time to call them. Now's the time to text them. Now's the time to email them. It tells what channels to use. And it shows you what they've been reading, what they've been engaging with. So we haven't done this yet, but it's in a future release. What we're doing now is we're actually taking that data and we are creating a message for the advisor with AI that's already compliant, that's based on that person. So what you're doing is you're just taking what you would do as a human being who really understood somebody, and you're just empowering that with AI. So you're actually taking the advisory relationship and the trust building component of it, and you're making that part of the automation, which is really crazy because we couldn't do that a few years ago.
Yeah, it's great. And for those that kind of said, and we've talked, I've talked to many advisors about this, is you really need, again, a basic tech stack. And that means not sending out emails from your Outlook. It means sending it out so you know who's opening it and what topics are they opening, and are they opening it at all? And so I ask many advisors what your open rate is, and what I send from my Outlook, and even when, bounce backs. Are you looking at bounce backs? And because a lot of times it says, I'm no longer at this company, or, how many emails that you send out from your own firm that get bounced back from your clients, and do you take action immediately, right? What are those triggers? The other thing that I've shared, if those that, and there's many firms, but very familiar with Catchlight, and I think Robert, your team may work with Catchlight among others. They are a data enrichment company. We're taking a look at it. So several of you I know use them. They're a great platform. But if you're not quite ready to invest in SAP, I encourage you all to get every lead and go on LinkedIn immediately, right? And you're going to you would be able to find Robert, right? If you get enough information where he's located, if you ask, the phone number and email, you can kind of do some reconnaissance yourself without paying Catchlight. Right now, obviously, it's easy because Robert says within 3 to 5 minutes you get all of this information. But if you got your intern, you have someone in operations, go through every single person, because you're quickly going to find out, is someone 18 or 21, or are they 45, and what occupation, and you look at their history, and although you may not be able to draw in a specific, here's their income, you have a pretty good feel if you're a founder and a CEO of companies, et cetera, that this may be someone who talked about. And you may also be able to kind of identify they may be in stock options. And if someone's in 44, that's probably a great time to explore if they have children, because that's a different conversation than myself, who's a little bit older. I don't know my age or title, but a little bit older, that my kids are out of college, or college funding is no longer an issue. And that's what I kind of contend a lot of, is trying to personalize. And if you can't personalize, at least have your data sets segmented. So don't think all of your topics apply to everybody. We only have a couple minutes left, and did want to understand, what should advisors, if there were 3 or 4 things, what should they be really reporting on? Because I think this is sometimes a miss. And although we talked about the importance of leads, we certainly want to look at conversions. What are some of the metrics along the way that advisors should start when they're looking at their marketing plans or program?
Yeah, well, there's so much, but I think my first caution is, don't be fooled by vanity metrics. I mean, vanity metrics are good. Like, it's nice to see clicks and opens and views, and they show that activity is happening, and they can help you to benchmark whether your content is good. Like, if people are engaging with it, like, that is good, but that's all it's going to tell you. High open rates, high clicks means good content, right? But is that content making you money? I mean, I can go post something on social media right now that will go viral, and then I'll be canceled. It'll be all for all the wrong reasons, right? So let's talk about what really matters. It's not the clicks. It's the business that it generates. So we believe that, of course, you can't judge something, based on 90 days of performance. Like, marketing initiatives take time to build momentum and steam, but you should be measuring from day one. You should start measuring pipeline. So pipeline, based on all the leads you're generating from various sources, how much in AUM potential exists from those leads. Now, that should be stack ranked by source. Based on all the places you're spending money, whether it's sweat equity or real dollars, how much pipeline is each of those creating? That lets you know where to double down and where to slow up. Then, how much of that actually translates into AUM growth in your firm? Now, those are the most important indicators, and those should be trackable inside of your marketing system. The meeting set rate, the meeting show rate, the conversion rate to client, those are all leading indicators of that success. So those should be tracked as well. And I will tell you, we have this level of reporting for enterprises, so they can see across their advisor network all of those things. But we are now actually releasing that next month for our end user advisors too. So just so you know, if you're using Snappy Kraken today, what I'm talking about is vital, but it's also only been for enterprises until now. Soon it will be available to all our advisors. So if you're like, hey, Robert said that's really important and I don't see it in my Snappy Kraken, I just want to let you know why. But that is what marketing is all about, right? It's about driving growth. So all those things should be measured.
Awesome. And I would also apply all of that to your existing client base. you ought to know what share of wallet you have of your clients, because that's, to me, is the lowest hanging fruit. If sometimes you say, well, they're a blue diamond or red diamond, and they're, they've got $3 million with you. And I turned around and said, do you know they actually have $15 million in assets? Would you be as thrilled? Certainly you like the 3 million, but that's probably where I would say you ought to be doing an audit on your existing clientele also. Well, we certainly can continue this for a long time, but we're up against the 30 minutes, and that went fairly quickly. So, Robert, I want to thank you for sharing your insights, and thank you everyone for attending. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Nice to see you all today.
Thanks for tuning in. This podcast was brought to you by C2P, an organization whose purpose is to educate, train, grow, and support holistic financial advisors so families can achieve true prosperity. Never miss an episode by subscribing now to discover new resources and strategies. Visit c2penterprises.com to learn how we can help scale and secure your business. At the time of delivery and any subsequent publishing, information was deemed reliable, but is subject to change by the time of listening or viewing. The contents of this piece include options and projections of C2P, are subject to change, and are for informational purposes only. The information provided in this presentation is not intended to be individual investment, tax, or legal advice.